funeral is about to begin, sir.
I think we just picked up Dracula. It's got a death curse!
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Never Not Horror. I am Steve Clark.
And I am Rich Hansel.
And we are back with another deep dive movie review episode. This is going to be episode number 15. We are done with our back-to-back month of themes. Stephen King September is in the past. Halloween is over, unfortunately. So now we're into Thanksgiving season, and I mean, we could watch Thanksgiving, but that's about it. So we're not doing that. So we're back on our regularly scheduled programming. So this time, it is Richie's turn to do a movie pick. So there's no theme, wide open world of horror. Rich, what are we going to review today?
We are going to check out 1958's Horror of Dracula.
Ooh.
Hammer Film Production.
Hammer Dracula. I like it. All right. Yeah, we did episode 1 was the Universal Dracula. Yeah. So now we're looking at the Hammer edition, and I'm excited for the conversation because they're both really good. So,
yeah.
So we'll get into that. So, all right. So yeah, if you are new to the show, we do our deep dive movie reviews in 4 sections. We will open up with our personal history with the movie, and then we will talk about some fun fact, behind the scene, cast and crew kind of information, little background info, and then at that point we will do a full plot walkthrough with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, you're going to want to bow out for a little bit, go and watch it, and then come back and ride through it with us. And then at the end, we will give our official Never Not Horror Howls rating and review. Rich, since this is your pick, I will give you the floor. What is your history with the Horror of Dracula?
Of course, I've mentioned a lot of times on the podcast that my dad was a big Universal Monsters fan, so I watched all those, and he eventually got me into the Horror of Dracula, or Hammer Films Dracula. Actually, I don't even know if Horror of Dracula was my very first Hammer Dracula film. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it would have been in the 90s. I was really late into Hammer films, and my dad was never I call him like a Universal monster snob, where they just will not look at anything else.
He was or was
he
not?
He was not.
Okay.
So he appreciated Hammer films,
okay.
and he was like you and I, a Dracula novel first.
Yeah.
And then any Dracula movies he could watch, he wanted to watch them to compare them to the book. And I do that a lot. I find myself doing that a lot too. But yeah, so it was late, and probably junior high or high school the first time I ever saw a Dracula Hammer film.
Mm-hmm.
But Horror of Dracula, I can't remember exactly when. I know I did like it, and I know it was fairly scary, but I was older, so it didn't scare me near like the Universal ones did when I was in, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Right. All right. Well, I was also a late bloomer to Hammer horror in general, and I still haven't seen a lot. But I knew of it. We talked about in episode 1, when you think Dracula, you think Bela Lugosi. But I hear a lot of talk about Christopher Lee as Dracula as well, so I would say I finally pulled the trigger and watched it, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, so not that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I was mid-30s. And I think, so I watched The Curse of Frankenstein, The Horror of Dracula, and The Mummy, the Hammer versions of all 3 of those, and I liked all 3 of them. Fully intended to watch some more Hammer, and I never did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know there's like 6 or 7 sequels to Dracula and Hammer. I've not seen any of them. I know there's a ton of Hammer horror stuff,
Oh
but
yeah, there's tons.
but yeah, I mean, I saw those three initial. I don't know if they were. I know Dracula and Frankenstein, I think, were the first two, and then The Mummy was shortly after.
Yeah, I think Curse of Frankenstein was first, and
yeah.
then Horror of Dracula.
Yep. But yeah, I knew of it. It was just one of those things I just hadn't got around to. You know, it's a 1950s horror movie. It just wasn't high priority. But when I finally did watch it, I was impressed with it. So yeah, again, not something I grew up watching, but it was more of something I was aware of. But yep. On that note, let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes information and get into the cast and crew a little bit. So here we go.
It's time for a history lesson.
So Horror of Dracula was only called that in America. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was Dracula.
Just Dracula. Yeah. But for copyright and not infringing on the Universal movie and different things.
Getting them mixed up.
Yep. So they added Horror of to the beginning of the movie. Horror of Dracula, released in 1958.
Yeah. And I'm surprised to find out that it was released in the U.S. before Britain.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Like a couple months ahead.
Isn't Hammer a British company?
Yeah.
Okay.
By a couple months, they released it in the U.S. first. I don't know why.
Right. So Horror of Dracula stars Christopher Lee as the lead in Dracula, and Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. And I think it's a notable difference to me from this movie to the other one that Van Helsing is the lead guy, basically, to where he was more of a side character in the Universal movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, both of those characters were in Curse of Frankenstein also, so very similar to what Universal did, where you had your repeat actors through a lot of the movies. Hammer did the same thing. Like Christopher Lee played Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and the Mummy, probably among other things that I haven't seen yet. So pretty cool. But I mean, this is the early days of a legendary duo of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know you've seen more than I have of stuff that they're in, but there's no denying the chemistry.
Yeah,
those two
they were great.
Yeah,
great together.
Who else is in the cast here?
We got John Van Eysen plays Jonathan Harker, who this is probably my favorite Jonathan Harker in Dracula lore, even more so than in the novel. We'll get into it as we go for why.
Okay.
I mean, there's obvious reasons once you do the walkthrough.
Right.
Being spoiler free, we don't want to. Melissa Stridling plays Mina. Michael Gough, that's a lot of people, an actor a lot of people might know. He plays Arthur Holmwood in it, but he was also played in a lot of the Batmans. He was Alfred.
Yeah, I knew
in the 80s Batman.
I did not recognize him in the movie, but looking on IMDb, I saw him at like more recent times.
Yeah,
and it was like, man, that guy's really familiar.
Yeah, he's got a string of movie credits a mile long. He's been in a lot of. He was in Sleepy Hollow. I think he was in 3 of Tim Burton's movies.
Okay.
I think he was a voice actor in one of them. One of his.
Yeah.
We also had Carol Marsh plays Lucy, and Valerie Gaunt is she's a big Hammer lady, and she was the vampire bride in this.
Okay, in the early part of the movie. Yeah. I mean, I think at least, especially talking about this and Curse of Frankenstein, these two particular. I mean, you just have to. I think we have to mention just the idea of what they were doing and bringing back these Universal monster stories under a new umbrella with just a whole new experience. And I don't know. I mean, I'm no expert in it, but like, I mean, I read that they went through multiple scripts and they end up. I don't know if it was like rights issues or what, but they had to change the plot a little bit to make it just to be safe so they're not completely ripping off the Universal story.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's different, but it's just interesting that I mean, this is 1958, so you're not quite 30 years from the Universal. I mean, it's the same idea to one of those weird mindfuck things where it's like 28-year difference is 1997 now.
Yeah.
So it's like rebooting something from the late 90s right now is the equivalent of that. That's weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a big deal in hindsight. And it's to me, it's just from an aspect of like film history and horror history. I like reading about how that all went down, like the whole Hammer horror process and what it turned into, because it turned into like 20, 30 years of just a ton of horror movies.
Yeah, Terrence Fisher, the director, he actually directed 29 Hammer films in his career. Yeah, 29. Yeah, and the screenwriter was Jimmy Sangster, who he also did the Curse of Frankenstein. He did a lot of screenplays for a lot of companies. I mean, he had a lot. If you look at his credits, it's crazy how many screenplays he wrote.
Right. I know one, because like I had said, I saw this movie once before, then rewatched it for the podcast, and I didn't remember until from the first time, but it stuck out to me, especially because we recently deep dived Universal's Dracula, but there is no Renfield in this movie.
I know it. I was going to bring that up.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to.
That was the obvious.
Right.
The first thing you notice is the absence of.
So for me,
Renfield.
being a fan of the book first, I had forgotten how it went in this movie, but I was excited to see it's Jonathan Harker at the castle at the beginning, and it was like, hey, they did it right. Not right, but they did it the way the book is.
Yeah.
But then it gets going, and we'll get into the story changes from the novel and the first movie or the original movie as we go through it. But yeah, there's no Renfield.
Yeah, which is amazing because Renfield is such a iconic character.
That's a bold choice to not have a Renfield character.
Absolutely, it is. And well, I'm not going to get into it yet, but
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. I don't want to put everything out there already.
All right. Do you have any budget yet?
I do have a budget of $81,000 and a box
1958
and a box office of. Now it goes off of rentals, so I'm not sure why, but it was $3.5 million.
Off of 81,000. That's hell of a return.
Yeah. That's probably over all time.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Well, that's a very pretty penny to your investment. So.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I figured it wasn't a shit ton with it being of the age it was, but all right. Rotten Tomatoes on this movie, we have a tomato meter critic score of 89%.
Wow.
And a popcorn meter fan score of 81%. So very widely regarded, certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And so I think universally people at least like this movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a heavy debate between the originals and the Hammers, and
yeah, there is. Anytime I mention it on my YouTube channel, I always get comments if I unbox a Dracula or I mention a Dracula and say how much I like Christopher Lee. I always get pushback. There's at least one guy that comes on there and gives me pushback.
Nice. Yep. So yeah, I mean, even with that, reviews are very high. So all right. Well, you got any other interesting things you want to throw out before we get into the walkthrough?
Christopher Lee played Dracula 10 times.
10 times.
Over his career, only 7 was Hammer. He also played it 3 other times out of Hammer films.
I think I read all but one of the Hammer Draculas. There was one that he didn't do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Brides of Dracula, which was the sequel to this.
Oh, he didn't come back for the second one.
He did not come. He was afraid to be typecast, so he didn't do it.
Well, I mean, he went on to such big things, and from what I've heard, Christopher Lee is a very interesting guy. Like speaks a ton of languages.
Yeah,
and,
he was like an assassin in the military, and English military. And,
very interesting guy. So
I think he's certified badass, really.
Yeah.
He's like 6'6".
Definitely, huge dude, a horror legend.
And he's got the ring that Bela Lugosi gave him.
Oh wow.
He has that. It's not the ring Bela Lugosi had, but Bela Lugosi had 3 replicas made, and he gave one to Christopher Lee.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
And until he died, he said he wore it every day.
I like it. That's cool.
Peter Cushing played Van Helsing 5 times, and he was in the direct sequel, Brides of Dracula. Terrence Fisher, I mentioned that he directed Curse of Frankenstein the year prior, 1957, and I also mentioned I wrote down here that he directed 29 Hammer films. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
that means you're doing a pretty damn good job.
If they let you do it 29 times, they must like what you're doing. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, like I said before, there may be a one-off here and there that I just didn't realize was a Hammer movie that I've seen, but to my knowledge, Frankenstein, Dracula, and The Mummy are the only ones I've seen. So once we get to the end here, I'll definitely pick your brain about what other ones should I be watching? Yeah. What other, like, of the 7 Dracula movies, are they all good, or do I need to see any of them?
You don't need to see them all.
I've kind of figured not. Very rarely does any franchise hold it together for that long.
But there are some good ones.
All right. Well, on that note, we will make our move to the plot walkthrough. So if you haven't seen Curse of Dracula, then you are going to want to... I just did it again. We were talking before we started recording. I keep flipping Curse of and Horror of between Dracula and Frankenstein. I was trying to Google it, and it was like, motherfucker, I keep calling it Curse of Dracula. It's not the name of the movie. If you have not seen Horror of Dracula, pause the podcast, go check it out. I watched it on like Turner Classic Movies or something. Like I have a bunch of on-demand stuff on my DirecTV.
I think it's on
cable.
Tubi right now.
Okay. Yeah, there's a few different ways to watch it, but or you can rent it.
Yeah.
So check it out and then come back and see what we think about the Horror of Dracula.
Last chance to turn back. Don't say we didn't warn ya.
All right, Rich, you are in the lead today, so take us through.
All right, our film opens with some thunderous music. I'm talking big thunder, loud orchestral music, and we see a statue of an eagle, and the opening score continues as it runs through a lot of the credits.
I love that.
Yeah,
just that first picture of the eagle and the
and the blood. Script writing or whatever that is, and the camera slowly pans down from the eagle, and we get a look at a castle and some of the entryways, and it continues to pan down, and we get into like a basement or cellar entryway, which comes up a lot in the movie throughout the movie. This particular entryway into the castle, which is in the bottom of the castle. Our camera goes into the basement inside, and we see a coffin there, and it's like a concrete stone coffin, and it has Dracula plaque on it. It's etched into it, and then
that's arrogant right there.
Yeah, and then suddenly blood begins dripping onto the etching.
Yeah,
it says
like
Dracula
from above.
Yeah, pretty neat.
It is cool,
and it's the Hammer blood. If when I say Hammer blood, if you're a Hammer fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Fire engine red.
Yeah. And we cut scene out of that. So that was our kind of opening with that loud Dracula booming orchestra music, which is good. I like it. I enjoy it. I know there's people that do not like it, but I like it. I like it much better than the Creature from the Black Lagoon loud. Yeah. This one I like a lot. Now we see the pages of a diary of Jonathan Harker, and he is narrating as he's writing, and he's citing the day, May 3rd, 1885, and we see a horse-drawn carriage, and Harker continues in his diary where we hear he's going somewhere, and he has major business when he arrives. He mentions that he had to walk some of the way because the coach, just like in our novel, would not go all the way to Dracula. So he mentions he had to walk.
And that's really the first, right out of the gate, that's a change from the original movie. We don't get any of the stuff in the village.
Right.
Like it
opens
with him walking up to the castle. So it's a different change.
He finally reaches the Castle of Dracula. He continues in his diary writing that he's lucky that he has secured this post and he does not intend to falter in his purpose. Is what he reads in his own diary. So he just walks right into the castle.
Yeah, right.
And he finds a letter from Count Dracula apologizing that he can't be there, and tells him in the letter to eat well and make yourself comfortable.
I would say this castle is a lot nicer than old Dracula's castle.
Way nicer.
Right.
This
It's much more well kept.
Yeah, and very atmospheric. These scenes are.
Right.
Hammer doesn't hold back on atmosphere at all.
It looks great.
It does.
It's not like a collapsing stone castle with cobwebs everywhere.
And
it looks good.
Yep, and they are proud of it because the camera does full pans in almost every room you go in to look at everything in the room, and it almost takes you right into the scene.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome how
they look great.
So he's got this dinner in front of him on the table, and he decides he kind of eats, and we don't have to watch him eat, and we flash forward, and now he's writing into his diary again, and as he's clearing a place, he kind of knocks off some dishes onto the floor, and of course he kneels down to pick them up, and he feels a presence, and he turns and looks, and there is a woman standing there in a white gown.
Yes.
And so Jonathan Harker, he introduces himself to the woman as the new librarian. And all of a sudden, she just starts begging him to help her. She needs help. She wants out. She's being held prisoner, and he's kind of reluctant. And he asks her why, and she says, "I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why." And so we're at the point where he wants to help this girl, but he really needs to know why. And so finally, he says, "Okay." So as the two are talking, the woman kind of looks over Harker's shoulder.
Yeah.
And then she just turns and runs.
Right. Like you see her face go blank and she's gone.
She goes almost pale.
Yeah.
So he turns to see what he sees, and we get our first picture of Christopher Lee at the top of these stairs.
Yep.
Looking like a badass with his big cape on, and he kind of floats down the stairs. We know he's walking, but he's got some kind of
got a big cape thing on that hides his whole body.
It looks awesome, and then the camera follows him all the way up until we got a close-up look of Dracula. Christopher Lee is Dracula, and it's awesome. I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's kick-ass. So the two, Dracula and Harker, they kind of exchange pleasantries, and they decide that they're both happy with what's going on, and he's happy that he's hired him to
be the librarian.
Yeah, he is. He's gonna.
Which I don't get it, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it being a different role for him.
Yeah.
Than being like the real estate guy, but
yeah.
I don't understand what the library deal is. We never really see the library or anything. So. But it's fine. I'm not. It's okay.
Yeah. So Dracula takes Jonathan to his sleeping quarters or his own room, so he can get more comfortable. And then he informs Harker that he has to leave again, and he won't be back until sundown the next day. And all that, we all know what this is. We try to be spoiler free, but we know we're watching Dracula,
right?
The movie Dracula, so we all know what the heck's going on here.
And it's hard to believe that I'm sure people have, but I guess in this day and age, it's hard to believe that anyone would watch this movie for the first time and not know that. It's called The Horror of Dracula.
Yeah.
We know who this is. So, Like, oh yeah, he'll be back at sundown.
So Dracula leaves, and Harker starts getting some stuff out. He pulls a picture out of his fiancée, and he's going to put it up. And all of a sudden, a knock at the door, and Dracula returns and tells him that he gives him a key to the library so he can get started on his endeavors and Rolodexing and all that stuff with his books. And as he's there, Harker has the picture, and he asks, "May I?" and takes the picture from Harker and looks at it and says how lucky a man he is, how pretty
picture of
this,
Lucy.
Yeah, picture of Lucy, his fiance, how pretty she is. So now Dracula, he gives the picture back and he exits again. But this time when he leaves, he hears a click.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite scenes too. I don't know if it got you as much as it did me, but Harker hears the click and he turns, and at first he's kind of surprised, and then he goes to the door and he tries it, and it's locked. He's locked him in his own room.
Yep.
And I love this scene is when he kind of turns, leans against the door, and at first you think he's going to be like maybe scared or something, but I love that he gives a little smirk, like, "It's on, boys, it's on." And I love it. He gives that little smirk, and I was like, yeah.
Like, we don't know why yet.
We don't know
your first
why.
time through.
But it's so awesome. I love it. So Harker goes back to his desk, and he begins writing in his journal again. And again, he's reading, or we're hearing what he's writing.
It's like a voiceover of what he's writing. And
he says, "With God's help, I will end this man's reign of terror." And we cut to Dracula leaving the castle. So now we kind of know that he knows. We know that Harker knows. But Dracula doesn't know yet.
Right.
So at this point, if you're following really good in the movie, you know that Harker is more than a librarian.
Yes.
You're not sure what he's there for, why he's there.
Right.
But at this point in the movie, it kind of gives you all the hints that you need.
Ending reigns of terror is not a librarian's job. So he's up to more than that.
Now we're back in Harker's room. He's asleep in a chair, and the door handle moves, and it kind of wakes him up. He goes to the door and finds that it's unlocked now, so somebody's unlocked the door. Harker, he leaves the room, and he sees movement downstairs, so he follows the movement. It's kind of shadows and stuff, so he's following this shadow. And he finds that same woman from before, and again, she starts begging him to help her. He asks the woman why Dracula is keeping her held prisoner, but she just, again, won't tell him. The woman gets emotional and tells him that Dracula is very evil and does terrible things. And at this point, Harker promises that he'll help her, and he kind of holds her in a "don't worry, I got you" embrace, not like a loving, passionate embrace,
like comforting.
And as they're embracing, she looks up at his neck and goes in for the bite, and it's a quick one. And you don't even know if she got him at this point, but it looked like. I mean, it didn't look like she did in the film, but I mean, it happened that fast.
Yeah.
So he kind of slings her off, and then the door opens. And this is the badass scene again. We get Christopher Lee coming in with his fucking eyes redder and shit.
Blood trickling down his lip.
Down, just a badass look on his face like he is out to kill somebody. He is pissed. So Dracula charges to this woman. He throws her to the ground. Harker tries to help, but Dracula chokes him and throws him to the ground. And he becomes unconscious. And Dracula carries the woman out of the room. And we cut scene.
Yep.
So out she goes. Dracula's gone with that woman. Now Harker's back in his room, and he wakes up. He checks the door, and it's locked again. He takes a mirror from his bag, and he sees he has 2 puncture wounds on his neck. He indeed did get bit.
He did.
And he is devastated. And I think John Van Eysen does a great job here because, I mean, he does. He looks devastated. And I think I would be devastated, too, because I'm probably going to be cut from this movie here soon.
Right.
I guess that's what we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That's true.
But, man, he just looks like a dog got killed.
I mean, we basically established that he knows about vampires, so now he knows what is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
What he will become if things continue this path.
Yep. So he gains his composure and he starts writing his diary again with the voiceover again. And he writes that he's become the victim of Dracula and the vampire woman. He continues that he's doomed to become one of them and prays whoever finds his body will possess the knowledge to do what is necessary to release his soul. So he knows that he's going to turn into a vampire, and he hopes if somebody finds him, they know to end his undead life and release his soul. And this is all pretty dramatic. I think it's outstanding acting by him. So Harker gathers up some of his equipment, which is in a bag and just kind of wrapped up in like a rag, I guess. And you don't know what's in it yet, but he climbs out the window, right? That's the scene. He climbs out the window and off he goes with his tools. Before he wants to go do his deed to the vampires, he takes his diary with him. And did you notice he hid it outside the castle?
Like by a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, so and that's so he hopes that somebody will find his diary and be able to help. So now he enters the cellar, and it's in that door in the beginning that it was made sure that the viewer of the movie saw this door. So he goes down to that door, which leads to the cellar, which leads to the coffin, which leads to your vampires. And for some reason, he looks into Dracula's coffin, and he's in there. He's got a little blood on his.
Yep, but he's daytime sleeping.
Mm-hmm. And then he goes to the other coffin, and it's the woman. He opens his pack, and he's got his stakes and his hammer.
Rich, if you were in this situation, which one would you want to stake first?
I think I would stake Dracula first.
I would too. But what did Jonathan Harker do?
He goes to the woman. He goes to the woman first, and it's a pretty good scene.
It is good.
He takes one of his stakes out, and he's got his big hammer. And he puts it to her chest, and wham!
Right.
And she lets out this blood-curdling scream, and we get an immediate shot of Dracula's face, and it's another great scene. His eyes pop open.
Really well acted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Without saying a word. I mean,
you can see, like, fear.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So in the amount of time that he hits her, he gets another look in the coffin, and she's transformed into her human self, which is an old woman.
Right.
And by the time he turns around, gets up, goes to Dracula's coffin to do the deed on Dracula, he's gone.
Yeah.
Dracula's gone.
Well, and then you also see in that scene when you see Dracula wake up to her screaming and he's afraid, but then he looks over and you can see the light fading in the window.
Yes.
And then like the light goes away and he smiles a little bit because he knows he's got him.
Yeah. So, and this was one that I had questions about. Why did Dracula even leave the room? Because Harker looks up and sees a shadow moving, upstairs.
Yeah.
In the doorway.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, then Dracula comes back. I think they just like that Dracula in that entryway.
He looks really cool.
Yeah, he looks cool. Let's do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made more sense for him to just get out and attack.
Yeah.
Right.
But he comes in, he steps onto the landing of the top of the steps, and he shuts the door behind him.
Yeah.
Cut scene.
Yep.
Which I think I would have liked to have seen a fight scene, but that would have probably taken away from our final scene a little bit.
Yeah.
I get why they did it.
Right. But you see, and again, just great acting, when Dracula comes in and before he shuts the door, you zoom in on Harker and like you can see it in his face.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows he's fucked.
Yeah,
he
has.
He
that
cannot
look on his
win.
face.
He can't win this fight against nighttime Dracula.
Right. So now we open up into a inn, I guess a hotel inn kind of thing, and it's full of people. And the door opens, and here it comes. Our main man, Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Abraham Van Helsing. Awesome. This dude's great. So the innkeeper, he doesn't like the fact that Van Helsing's asking a lot of questions about Jonathan Harker. He keeps asking him, have you seen my friend? His name's Jonathan Harker. And the guy is, no, I haven't seen him. No. Never seen him before. Never heard of him. Don't know why you're here. Don't know why he was here. And Van Helsing's looking around, and there's garlic all over the windows and doors. He goes, I think you're holding some. I don't think you just have these up for decorations, this stinky-ass garlic. And the guy he refuses to tell him.
Right.
He wants to leave it alone. He don't want to stir the pot, I guess, is the problem.
All the people, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 people sitting at the tables in this little place. And they're all just staring. It's like a record scratch thing when he walks in. Right. And like everyone's just staring at this stranger that came in.
Yeah. So there is a bubbly little barmaid, I guess she is. And she has no problem telling him. And she's I think I remember that guy. And the innkeeper's like, hey, shut up. And,
right.
And he asks, finally, he sits down and says, okay, whatever. Van Helsing knows he's not going to get anything out of it.
She says that she mailed a letter for Jonathan Harker.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he's like, was it this letter?
Yeah.
And the bartender guy had already got on her, and she's like, I don't remember.
Yeah, she didn't want to get fired or whatever.
So after that, she didn't remember anything.
Right. So he sits down, and they're going to get him some dinner, and the girl comes over, and she has Harker's diary, and she slides it to him underneath a napkin and says, we found this outside of the castle, you may want it. Remember that scene? Yep. Yeah, so now Van Helsing's got Harker's diary, and he's going to be aware of everything of what's happened to Jonathan Harker. So that's the end of the scene in the inn. So now we're to Van Helsing, and he's in a carriage, and he's riding to Dracula's castle. As he gets there, he notices I guess it's a hearse. He does mention it as a hearse leaving the castle. Did you get that part? It was a carriage that has a coffin on it, and it looks like a funeral director's carriage or something. It carries the thing away, carries the horse and buggy away. So he just watches that, and the first time I can remember rewatching this and not thinking anything about that. But then I don't even think it was the next time I watched it. It must have been the third or fourth time when they're looking for the address, which we'll get into that. But so Van Helsing again, he just walks into Dracula's castle, and he enters. He's looking around. He calls Harker's name, and then he goes into Harker's sleeping quarters and finds it like ransacked, tore all up. And Van Helsing finds the frame that Lucy's picture was in, but the pictures are gone. No pictures are there. So, still daylight, he enters the cellar where he finds his friend Harker in a coffin with fangs. And there he's devastated again. And he does a great job, just like John Van Eysen did when he was devastated. These guys are just professional actors. That's what they are.
They're all really good.
Pros. And so he knows that he's going to have to do what he has to do. So Van Helsing, he picks up a stake that's still on the floor, the wooden stake and the hammer that Harker had dropped.
Right.
And he steps to the coffin, and we cut scene. We don't get to see him do it. But we
know what he did. Yeah,
we know what he did. So now we cut into Van Helsing is at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Holmwood, and we're introduced to it's Arthur Holmwood and his wife Mina, which is a whole shakeup of our novel and of our Universal Monsters movie. But that's okay. Right. I'm not complaining. Arthur he's kind of explaining that Jonathan Harker has died, and he can't tell him why or where or how. And Holmwood is pissed off. He can't understand because his sister is Lucy, and she was supposed to marry Jonathan Harker.
Right.
And he's upset that he's going to have to tell his sister that your fiance is dead.
And I can't tell you why.
And I can't tell you why because this guy's holding information from me. He tells him that everything's okay, don't worry. I mean, there's no mischief or anything right now. He's telling him just...
He's dead, but it's fine.
Yeah. So, now that they're trying to find a way, they're talking with Van Helsing, trying to find, how are we going to tell Lucy this? How are we going to tell her that her fiance is dead? the reason they don't want to tell her is because she's ill right now. She's very sick right now, and they're afraid if they tell her that her fiance is dead, it'll be very bad on her.
Too much for her.
Yeah, too much on her system. So now we're in Lucy's room, and Mina and Arthur, they're helping her to bed, and they tell her good night, and they leave her room. Now, once she's alone, Lucy's alone now, she gets out of bed, locks her door to the inner part of the house, takes her cross off of her neck, and then opens her door to the outside.
Right. It's like to like a terrace
wide
outside.
open, yeah. And jumps back in bed and has this look on her face like she is...
Like it's Christmas night.
Yeah, she is ready. She kind of even opens up her neck. You know,
like her little
make
gown.
Sure her neck's showing. And we cut scene.
Yeah. And you can see bite marks on her neck. Yeah.
Yes, she's got her bite marks.
Right.
Just like Jonathan Harker's.
Yeah. So, well, go ahead. We'll come back to it.
So now we see Van Helsing in his room, and he's listening to like a phonograph record
of himself.
Yeah, and this is very new technology. It was even in Bram Stoker's book where he would leave those. It was brand new technology. Right. It must have been when Bram Stoker wrote the book. So it's kind of like a tape recorder. If you're a detective, you might talk into the tape recorder. Instead of taking notes, you take verbal audio notes. And he's replaying it, and it's talking about the lore of vampires and what he knows about vampires. I know they come out at night, they can't take the daylight, blah blah blah. So it's kind of catching the viewer up on reminding
the rules
us
of vampires,
reminding us of how vampires work. So he rings for his butler, and the butler comes in, and he hands him a letter, and he says, "I need you to mail this first thing in the morning." And the butler leaves. I guess he's a butler.
Something like that.
Yeah, just a bellboy or something.
I thought it's funny, but not fun, like, because they don't really deliver it like it's a joke, but the butler guy kind of hauls around. He's like, it's like, there's something matter? And he's like, could have sworn I heard you talking to somebody. He's like, you did. I was talking to myself.
He did.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah. So Van Helsing goes back to his audio recordings, and he stops the phonograph. He puts it into like a recording mode. So now instead of listening, he's going to record into it. And he speaks in the device that someone who has been a victim of a vampire is now under the spell. And they want us to understand this. Someone who's addicted to drugs is how he explains. If you get bit by a vampire, you are addicted.
Yeah.
You need to be bitten again. You need to be fed off of.
Yeah.
And that's how they kind of pound that into our brains.
Which explains that the way Lucy was acting.
Right. She was really wanting that vampire to come back. And that the victim will eventually become the undead. So he explains that Dracula has disappeared since the death of Jonathan Harker. He has no idea where he's at. And this is still talking into his device. And that he must be found, he must be destroyed. Let's see. So Van Helsing is on the hunt.
He's on the case.
So we now see Mina and a doctor, and they do have Dr. Seward in there, although he's not in it much. This is our Dr. Seward, who is a major player in
the original movie,
and in the novel.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Lucy and how she's gotten worse, and the doctor says he thinks it's say it for me.
Anemia?
Anemia. I couldn't get it out. And that her recovery will be a long process. And if she wanted to, he's not against her getting a second opinion.
Yeah.
But so all of a sudden, a little girl named Tanya, she enters the room. She wants to play with Lucy. And Mina explains Lucy's very ill. She can't get out of bed. So the doctor leaves, and Mina opens a letter that she received. And this is our letter that Van Helsing gave to his butler to be sent out. It's kind of vague on the explaining of that.
Right.
And she has a very a look of concern on her face, and she puts the letter away. Now back at Van Helsing's, there's a knock at the door, and now Mina's at his house, and she wants to talk about this letter. So she tells Van Helsing that she received his letter and that he has some things of Harker's that he wanted to give her. And he asked Mina how Lucy took the news of Harker's passing, and she said that they haven't told her yet because, again, she's very sick. And Van Helsing he starts asking, well, what's the matter with her? Mina explains, and he says he would like to see her. So this is going to be your second opinion. He looks very concerned.
Yep.
Very, very concerned. So Van Helsing, he does indeed examine Lucy and tells Mina to take precautions that are very unorthodox. Mina agrees, and Van Helsing leaves, which is garlic on the windows, garlic on the doors, have somebody watching her at all times, especially at night. She's very confused, obviously. I mean, there's no vampires for her, she knows.
Right.
So the maid does as asked, and he tells her if she does not do this, that she's going to die. I mean, right out there, he says, if you don't do this, she's a dead woman. So now it's nighttime, and Lucy's very, very agitated by the garlic. She's coughing and snorting and sneezing, and the windows are all closed. That was another thing Van Helsing said, make sure everything's locked up. So Lucy says, I can't breathe. It's talking to the maid. I need you to take these out of here. And it's Gerda again.
Yep.
Same as in our Universal Monsters.
Yep.
You need to get all this out. Get the garlic out. Open the windows. I need fresh air. The maid, she
knows she's not supposed to.
But she don't want to see her coughing and hacking the way she is. So she does it reluctantly. She does do it. And Lucy lays in her bed and again has that eager look on her face. The next morning, Arthur and Mina, and I'm going to call him Arthur Holmwood. Throughout the movie, Van Helsing calls him Holmwood, pretty much.
Right. Arthur's easier to say.
Yeah, Arthur's
for
easier.
our purposes.
Yeah, we're going to call him Arthur. So they find her dead. Lucy is dead.
Yep.
Van Helsing examines her body and demands, why didn't she do, why didn't you do what I asked you? She would be alive if you would have done these. And Gerda, the maid, breaks down, starts crying. It's my fault. Miss Lucy asked me to take that away. She couldn't breathe, and I opened the doors, blah, blah, blah. Van Helsing gives Arthur Jonathan's diary, finally.
Right, well, yeah, because Arthur is not...
He's a skeptic, big time.
Right, well, he tells Van Helsing to fuck off. You've brought nothing but bad news since you've been here, so
pretty much kicks him out.
Yeah. And before he goes, he gives him Harker's journal.
He says, take this and just read it.
And you'll understand.
He tells the butler, show him to the door, get his ass out of here.
Right.
So later, the police, they're bringing Tanya to Arthur and Mina's, and the little girl Tanya.
Yep.
And she explains that she was out playing with Lucy, and they're all like, what?
Yeah,
because Lucy is dead,
right?
And she
got this whole story about her getting lost, like someone asking her to go on a walk, and then they go somewhere, and then she ran away, and she was lost, and they say, "Who was it?" Aunt Lucy.
Yeah. So this little Tanya girl is out playing with Lucy. Mina, they're confused like crazy. And that's it. It's at this moment that Arthur has an aha moment right here. That maybe this is
Van Helsing's not totally full of shit.
Yeah, he's not 100% on board, but he just got up to about 80%.
Right, his eyes are open.
Yeah. So Arthur goes out at night to where Lucy's body is and finds her coffin empty. Now it's certifiable, and you get that look, like a devastated look, because she's not there.
Yeah.
Again, just these guys are professional actors.
Yeah,
they do such a good job.
Very well done.
I can't say it enough how good they do. So now we see little Tanya wandering in the woods again when she finds Lucy in vampire form. So Lucy takes Tanya away. Arthur, who's still at Lucy's crypt, sees Lucy and Tanya arriving back to the crypt. And Lucy approaches her brother and goes in for looks like she's going to go in for the kill. She's like, brother, give me a hug or a kiss, give your sister a kiss or whatever. But suddenly, as she's about ready to get into Arthur, a cross comes in and gets right on her forehead.
Yeah, like right out, like
oh, yeah.
from side camera,
Yeah.
just like bam.
And then she gives the hiss and kind of backs away, and it's Van Helsing with his cross, and he actually touches it to her forehead, and it leaves a big burn.
Burns into her forehead.
So all this, I couldn't imagine being Arthur. I mean, this guy's got to be beside himself.
Right.
One minute, your sister's about ready to get married. Next minute, there's fucking vampires, including her.
Right.
So Lucy, she gets up, runs into the crypt, and Van Helsing asks Arthur if he understands now, and Arthur's like, I do. I absolutely do. And the two men go to Lucy's coffin with a stake and hammer. And this is a good scene, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he reaches back and pounds that stake into her. Van Helsing does.
Yeah.
And in the book, we know that it was Arthur in the book.
Yeah.
Who was also married to our fiance.
Right.
It's a big shakeup.
Right.
I don't want to confuse everybody out there.
We've flipped a lot of character roles.
Yeah.
But
anyways, Arthur watches on as Van Helsing drives a stake through his sister's heart and releasing her soul. And he kind of goes over because he's against the wall. He's upset because his sister's dead now, and she was a vampire. And Van Helsing brings him over and says, without saying, look into the coffin. And he looks, and it's his sister back to human form, very pretty but dead.
Yeah, right.
But looks like
Again.
human form, doesn't
Right.
have the fangs and the blood all over now.
Yeah.
And he sees that her body's in peace. Cutscene.
Yep.
So now Van Helsing and Arthur, who is on board now, makes plans to go after Dracula and to destroy him. The two set out to find Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
While the two are gone, Mina gets a message that she is needed at a particular address. Now, when Van Helsing and Arthur leave, they're going to try to get an address. Van Helsing saw that hearse leaving Dracula's castle, and he thinks wherever that hearse went is where he's going to be able to find Dracula.
Right.
So they're going to go to the director of logistics.
Right.
Whoever goes to that town, there's still borders and you still got to check in. So he wants to go to this border agent or wherever this guy is and get an address to where that coffin was sent. And so that's where they're headed. Now, while they're out, headed that way, Mina gets a knock at the door, and it's a young boy saying, Arthur asked to meet him at this address. And it happens to be the same address that Van Helsing and Arthur are headed towards. Dracula's new address. So she says, there's no way my husband is gone on, he's off on business. There's no way my husband sent this. She goes, well, I got it from Arthur Homewood, so do what you will, but that's my message. And the boy walks off, so she's confused. So, of course, she's got to go, though.
Right.
Her husband apparently needs her.
Told her to come
to this certain address. So Amina arrives at the address, and he enters through an open door, and she sees a coffin, and the top opens. It slowly slides open, and we get Christopher Lee as Dracula in the coffin. It's another great scene. Kind of creepy. So now we know that Dracula set her up.
Yes.
He needs to feed on somebody else.
Right.
So when Arthur and Van Helsing return home, they find Mina, she's not home. And all of a sudden, Mina, now she walks in and she seems very different. Big time different. Arthur and Van Helsing, again, they leave in search of Dracula. They go to the same address where Mina met Dracula, and they find Dracula's coffin is missing, so they return home. So the two decide to go back to check on an old cemetery. It's the only viable option they got. Let's check his cemetery. And while they're gone to this, Arthur asks Mina to wear his cross around her neck. Mina takes the cross and immediately passes out. She's kind of getting this sick feeling, kind of like Lucy was. Van Helsing and Arthur look at her hand where the cross touched her and find her hand burnt. So now they know. Now they know that she's been bit by a vampire Dracula. So the two decide to use Mina as bait and to try to catch Dracula. They know he's going to come back and try to get her, so they're going to do a little stakeout, and we cut scene from right there. Now it's nighttime, and Van Helsing and Arthur are staked out, and they're outside of Mina and Arthur's house watching on, and somehow, some way, Dracula slips in, and we see him in Mina's room, and he slowly approaches Mina, and she kind of lays down, and this is pretty sensual. Is that the word?
Right.
It's the first time you see.
Little risque for 58.
And Dracula, he kind of kissing her and sniffing her, and longing for her big time, like she's a drug or something. And right, he leans down and he bites the neck.
Yep.
I think off camera, right? Just as he's getting ready to bite it, cuts.
Right.
The morning comes, and Van Helsing and Arthur, not knowing that Dracula got past, they come into the house and like, ooh, that was a hard night's work watching this castle, And when they get inside, Arthur finds Mina on her bed, all blood. There's a lot of blood. There's blood on her neck. There's blood on the blankets. And Van Helsing rushes up to the room because he screams, and they don't know how Dracula got past them. Van Helsing gives a blood transfusion through Arthur. Arthur is the host, I guess.
Right.
So she's very weak, he says, but she's going to live. Van Helsing says she's weak, but she is going to live. So they're relieved, but she has still been bit by a vampire again. And the maid tells Arthur that Mina told her never to go down to the cellar, which got Van Helsing's attention real quick. So he told her to go to the cellar
for something,
or
to go get something.
Yeah,
and she said, "Miss Mina told me never go to the cellar."
Never go to the cellar, and bam, that clicks with Van Helsing. He's like, "Holy shit!" So he immediately jumps up and runs down in the cellar.
Yeah.
So he races down, and he finds a coffin open, but it's empty. So the whole time they've been trying to find Dracula,
he was in the house.
He was in the house.
Yeah.
So that's how he got in the house.
Right. They were staked out outside and he was already in there.
Yeah. So now, all of a sudden, Dracula enters the cellar and sees Van Helsing. And he knew he found his hiding place in Dracula. He's like, shit, he's found me. And he turns and runs. And Van Helsing takes his cross and puts it in the coffin so that
he can't get back in.
He knows this takes away one of his hiding spots.
Right.
He'll never be back here. I don't have to worry about this spot anymore. And he goes up to the top of the cellar steps, and the door's locked. Dracula's locked him down in the cellar, so he's pounding, trying to get somebody's attention. Finally, Arthur unlocks the door, and Van Helsing races out, and they hear some screaming upstairs, and it's the maid. And I mean, this whole scene is very, very tense. You got the music going. All hell's breaking loose.
Yeah.
They're running from room to room, checking on stuff. So very tense scene. She tells Van Helsing that someone who looked like the devil took Mina. She's never seen anybody so evil as this guy, and he just took Mina. So Van Helsing and Arthur know there's only one place Dracula could be going, his home. That's what he says, I think, his home.
Right.
So the two men, they race off and find Dracula. And they're in their carriage together, and they find a coach, and there's a man dead. Well, there's not a coach, there's a driver dead. So they know that now Dracula's on a carriage.
He's got wheels.
Yep, he's got wheels. So as they're on this carriage, they're talking about how we need to get to Dracula before he gets to this castle. We'll never find him. He's going to be hidden in that castle forever. And we also need to find him before it gets dark, because then he's going to have all his powers.
Yep.
So it's a race against time, and it's a very tense scene still. And we kind of get a time frame here, because they set up like the guy that is the border agent. I'm calling him a border agent. Right. I don't know what he is.
Logistics guy.
Yeah, he has a bar that raises and lowers. You have to see him before you can move on, and he'll raise that bar up. So this kind of gives us a time frame that Dracula goes through there without stopping, obviously. He's got to beat the sunlight. So he's racing to his castle and knocks the bar off of the pole, the lowering bar. So the next scene we see Van Helsing and Arthur coming in their carriage, and that guy's just getting his pole fixed. So we're probably looking a half an hour behind.
Right,
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
And of course, it's kind of a comedy relief right here, I guess, because the guy's like, "Oh no, not again!" And bam! Of course, they run right through the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's upset. Kind of does some hollering. So they get to the castle. So we figure he's got about a half hour start on him, and he is actually digging a hole. And we see him throw Mina into the hole, and he starts throwing dirt on her. And about that time, he looks up and sees those Van Helsing and Arthur coming in. So he stops, throws a shovel down, races into the castle. So naturally, Arthur goes to Mina and helps her out. She only got a couple shovels of dirt on her, and he helps her out of the hole. And I did hear in the filming of this, the stunt woman that was in the hole being buried, Christopher Lee actually slipped and fell into the hole and landed on top of her.
No. He's a big dude to be falling on people too.
So he fell on the stunt woman in the hole. But anyway, so Arthur goes to Mina, Van Helsing goes to the castle to catch Dracula. So the chase is on now, and it's again very, very tense scene. We're getting a good look at the castle. Van Helsing is crazy-eyed looking for Dracula. He knows he's running out of time. The sun's going to go down any minute. He's looking all over the place. So going room to room, finally he catches up. And there's Dracula, and they squaring off. Another great scene as these two awesome actors and characters staring each other down. So Dracula makes the first move, attacks Van Helsing, grabs him, gets him down, and he's got the grip on him, two-handed choke on top of him, and slowly Van Helsing starts losing consciousness. And you think he's out. He's out of it. He's going to be dead. His eyes close. He goes still. And all of a sudden, his eyes open and flings him off. Flings off Dracula.
It's like Hulk Hogan in the sleeper hold. Drops the arm twice, and then that third time is just, here we go.
Yeah.
What you gonna do, brother?
Yeah. So the two stand off again, and Dracula slowly starts stalking Van Helsing like a lion. Van Helsing glances over and sees the window, and he knows, there's a little bit of daylight left.
Yep.
And he runs across this huge table, dives, grabs the curtain, and pulls the curtain off, and the light comes in, and down goes Dracula, and we get a little bit of special effects here.
It looks good, though.
It's not bad for 1958.
Because at first it's just his hand.
Yeah.
And it turns to like ash kind of stuff.
Yep. And Dracula slowly kind of crawling out of the sunlight, and Van Helsing jumps off the table and grabs these two giant candlesticks and makes a cross out of them and chases him back into the light.
Yeah.
And he just starts ashing away.
Right.
And his legs turn and his face turns, and then a little bit of breeze. He opens the window.
Right. And the wind blows through.
I love the hair. Did you notice the hair? It looks like tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon, only thing left is Dracula's ring.
Yeah. All the ashes blow away.
And that was it. So.
And you do see, like, when he turns to ash, you see a quick cut to Arthur and Mina.
Yes.
Because Mina has that burn from the cross on her hand from earlier, and it fades away.
Away. So you kill the head vampire, and
right.
It seems that everybody is going to be okay. And
proving the point that Jonathan Harker
he should have killed Dracula first. So back in the castle, Van Helsing looks over Dracula's remains, and like I mentioned, the wind blows the ashes away, and nothing left but that ring.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that might be the ring that Bela Lugosi gave him.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure, but that'd be really cool
if it was. Yeah.
And the end.
That's it. Good stuff. The Horror of Dracula. All right. Well, we will now transition and give our official Never Not Horror Howls rating and review.
The story told. How many Never Not Horror Howls will be given?
All right. Well, you want to go? You want to give yours, or you want me to do mine?
I'll do mine first.
Okay, go ahead.
Since I picked the movie.
Okay. What's your review and rating for I did it again. Horror of Dracula.
I love it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. How much do I like it? We'll get that to a minute, but I do want to say I can remember watching this movie for Christopher Lee.
Yep.
Everything's Christopher Lee, right?
Mhm.
I want to see Dracula. That's what I want to see. Doing this, rewatching it the few times or I guess the many times I've watched it, studying up for this podcast, it's become a Peter Cushing movie to me.
He's a badass.
It's not Christopher Lee movie anymore. It's a Peter Cushing movie.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of Peter Cushing.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. And I was before. But after watching this, watching his acting style, everything he does, he is in 100%
I agree.
acting mode. This dude is unbelievable from the scene where he's given that blood transfusion. I mean, he goes through every single step. He puts the Band-Aid on it. I mean, it's just, he's so articulate. He's so good. It's unbelievable how good Peter Cushing is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like I mentioned, I was a fan before. Now I'm a super fan. He's right up there. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. He is right up there with Vincent Price for me, as maybe the all-time greatest horror actor.
I mean, I don't know how recently you've watched Curse of Frankenstein, but the first time I watched that, I was blown away at his portrayal of...
He is amazing.
It's not Victor Frankenstein, but it's like... Or is he?
Yeah, it is Victor. It's not Henry.
Okay. Yeah.
In the
he's like the son or something of
the
Universal
original Monsters,
right? But yeah, his portrayal of Dr. Frankenstein is fantastic.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And here as Van Helsing, it's great.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it. He's the best Van Helsing I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely much more. Not that there was it Edward Van Sloan that played
Edward
him in the
Van
original?
Sloan. Not that he was bad.
No,
but
he was fine, but just it's a total reversal. Like from being a side character that knows a lot to being the hero of the story, and Peter Cushing nailed it. Just
amazing, and how many times he reprised the role.
Yeah,
and just such a good character. And for me, he was in Star Wars. He was general in the Empire, for the Empire, and that's where I was first introduced to Peter Cushing. And now that I want to watch everything he's ever been in, and I have seen a lot of. I think I've seen all of his Dracula or Van Helsing portrayals, but man, all these movies that he in are so good. Right, like I mentioned, right up there with Vincent Price for me. But yeah, so I don't know how else to explain how good he is. Now, I know people like to compare your Universal Monsters and your Hammer films, and it's a way different film. I will say this: I still, even as good as Peter Cushing is in this movie and Christopher Lee, I still would say if you want to compare the two films, the best actor in both of these movies to me is Dwight Fry. Still, Dwight Fry. I mean, amazing. And it showed when we put a 5 out of 5, and that how crazy we both were about his performance to Renfield. Unfortunately, Renfield's not in this movie, and I'm okay with it. Right. I didn't miss him at all. No. Not 1 minute.
I don't know, with the way they redid the story, I don't know what he would have been.
Yeah. But I absolutely love the angle of Harker already as a vampire hunter being kind of Van Helsing's partner. I would love to have seen, and it's not too late. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get Peter Cushing and John Van Eysen to reprise the role, but hell, I could see a prequel with these two guys. I mean, you would have to get really good actors. Yeah. but see Van Helsing and Harker going on some vampire hunts together.
Yep.
As young men.
That would be good.
I think it could be. But yeah, unbelievable acting, professional acting, story. I think it's perfect. I love it. It doesn't have to be like the book. It doesn't have to be like Universal Monsters. Mm-hmm. And I love the angle that they went at. And I think John Van Eysen is probably the best Jonathan Harker I've ever seen. He made some bad decisions, of course, and he's not the greatest vampire hunter in the world, obviously, but he's still a badass. He's a vampire hunter.
Yeah.
So I think that makes him way better than Keanu Reeves, which you still haven't seen.
I haven't, no.
But now I got to give, how many hows do I give to Horror of Dracula?
Right.
The time is up.
And you gave 5 to the original
I
Dracula.
gave 5 to the original Universal Monsters 1931 classic, one of my favorite movies of all time. There's only one thing to do. I got to give it a 5 out of 5 hows. I have to. I mean, we don't have, I could go a 4.5, but it's better than Trick or Treat, which I gave Trick or Treat a 4.5.
Yeah.
So it's got to be better than that.
Yeah.
So I got to go 5.
Nah.
I'm going 5 out of 5 hows.
Okay.
For Horror of Dracula.
On the same tier as the original.
Yeah.
All right. So, Horror of Dracula. I agree with everything you said. As good as Christopher Lee is in this movie as Dracula, Peter Cushing is better as Van Helsing. He's awesome. I like the changes they made to the story. Like, one of my critiques of the Universal movie is like how fast they move through the castle scene in the beginning and how quickly they go through the Demeter scenes. Mm-hmm. And well, it's not called the Demeter in the movie, but the Vesta.
One of them.
One's a scooter, one's a boat. And so I feel like the pacing is so much better in the story. It like you said, I can't necessarily say I missed Renfield, but it's just noticeable that there isn't a Renfield because he was so important and just interesting in the first movie. But I like the changes. I feel like it's just I think overall it's the pacing of the story is better and just great performances, great sets. If I watched it without knowing, I don't think I'd believe it was made in 1958. It looks more.
It does.
I mean, it looks old, but it looks more.
It could fall for a early 70s
for
easily.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I like, and we've talked when we did the original deep dive. The Voyage of the Demeter is my favorite part of the book, and that's not in this at all because they just didn't have that in the story. It wasn't part of it, and even with that, like, I just feel like this is a much tighter flowing story, and it works so much better on a story level. Like they tried to do, which the book is a decent sized book, and it's hard to adapt everything that's in that. That'd be a really long movie. So I understand why they did what they did in the original, but this is just a much tighter, cleaner package. And so for me, I gave the Universal original Dracula a 4 out of 5 myself. I prefer this movie.
You're gonna have those Universal snobs mad at you, Bob.
I love Dracula. Bela Lugosi is always the first face that comes to my mind when you say Dracula, but I think the Horror of Dracula is a better movie. It's a better story. The impact, the legacy of the original is undeniable. But 1-to-1, if I'm gonna watch one of them, I think Horror of Dracula is better.
Nice.
So with that in mind, I'm not gonna go all the way to 5, but I'm gonna give it a 4.5 house. Okay. So I gave the original 4. I give Horror of Dracula 4.5. Nice. It's not quite on my all-time elite films, but it's amazing. It's a great movie. I mean, not a lot of movies are going to hit 4.5 for me.
Right.
So
very few.
Right. So very high, top tier, highly recommended.
Yeah. I can't recommend it enough. I think it's unbelievable. If you're into vampires, especially, and Dracula, this is a must-see. And I'm sure if you are into vampires and Dracula, you probably have seen this.
or some other iteration of Dracula with Christopher Lee. But
yeah.
but this one just, and so that was what the other thing I was going to ask you, like, of the sequels, the Hammer sequels, like, how good are they? Like, from what you recall.
The Brides of Dracula, the follow-up to this, I think was 62, maybe. Very good.
Okay.
Very, very good. Really close to being as good as this. But then there is another one called Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, which also, I think Dracula Has Risen from the Grave was the first one that had both Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it again.
Okay.
So all the ones before had either Peter Cushing in it
Or
and no Christopher Lee, or vice versa. This one, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, very good. It's so close to being as good as this one.
Nice.
I mean, both of them do absolutely great job. How they bring Dracula back to life is pretty cool.
Okay. I definitely want to check out some more for sure, because this movie's amazing. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for our coverage of The Horror of Dracula from 1958. We both love it, so check it out. If you want to support the show, please like, rate, review, do what you do. Tell your friends about Never Not Horror. And there is a new way you can support the show, and it will support you too. We have merch now.
Yay!
So, if you would like to buy your very own Never Not Horror or Never Not Horror quick cuts, where there's coffee mugs, there's shirts, tote bags, pillows, wall art, lots of things, different things you can pick from. But I will put a link on social media for people to can go that way. I'll put a link on my website, but it is nevernothorror.dashery.com, and you can order stuff. I will warn you, the shipping prices are a little crazy, so but you do you, and we do get some of the proceeds from that. So it's kind of like my writing stuff. Like Amazon gives me a platform to publish my books, and they take a cut of the royalties. It's the same setup, so they let you do it for free, and then they take a cut of the profits from what you sell. But then you get the majority of it. So you can support the show that way, and flash around some Never Not Horror merch. So,
yeah, man.
So to do that, and if you want to support us outside of the show, go to youtube.com, search for Rich Hansel. Spooky season's over, so now the studio is turning back into some big time wrestling figures, some G.I. Joe. Lots of good
Hulkamania forever, baby.
Lots of good stuff hanging around here. I see a Willie Nelson figure over here. So good stuff going on. You can check out my books. Go to steveclarkbooks.com. Find links to everything. I have a store there where you can buy signed paperbacks if you want a signed physical copy, or you can go to Amazon or all the other places. So yeah, next week will be quick cuts, and we are continuing the Horror by the Decade series, so we are up to the 60s. So tune in next week, and you'll hear our top 13 horror movies from the 1960s. So as we're creeping deeper into the origins of horror. So do all the things, come back and see us next time, and always remember, whatever it is, it's never not horror.
Oh yeah.
Are they slow moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.